I'm MM and I ask a lot of questions.
I'm Pia, and I don't have a filter.
We'll be asking questions you dare not ask.
And giving answers that might be a little too honest.
So listen up, come and eavesdrop.
This is the Chismis Table. Hello again, and as you can see, I have a different background. I've made it out of the Philippines, and I will tell you how I did it soon because it wasn't a pleasant experience. But today, we're going back to our roots as Filipino women because apparently a lot of people are confused about what Filipino women really are and how to deal with them. And the concept of Dalagang Filipina sounds very old school, but still seems to be the preferred image of what proper Filipinas should be. Prim and proper, courteous, and polite, never dominant. But I've obviously never identified with that image of being a Filipina, and for in many ways, I'm actually pretty much the opposite of Dalagang Filipina, where we have MM here, who I feel fits perfectly in the Dalagang Filipina imagery with a few modern updates. As with everything, there's more to the Filipina than meets the eye, and we'll be figuring that out right now. So, when did you learn about the concept of Dalagang Filipina?
I was born and raised in a very traditional Filipino family because both my parents were born and raised in the province. My dad is from Bulacan, my mom is from Batangas. So ever since I think I was a kid, my parents would try to raise me as if, yun nga, I'm to be a dalagang Filipina. I would remember my dad teaching me how to smile at such a young age. And then he would tell me,
How?
he would tell me, you should always smile without teeth. Just
No!
I don't know if joke lang yon or what, pero that was what he was telling me ever since I was young. Talagang don't smile too big, don't laugh too loud. Ganon, very very demure. And then my mom naman was very particular in the way I would dress up. I couldn't go out of the house with, during school, remember sikat na sikat yung Havaianas.
Yeah.
And then you would go to the mall wearing slippers. And then my mom would always tell me, why are you going out wearing slippers? Why don't you wear shoes or something? So, big deal sa kanila yon when I'm not dressed up na prim and proper or I wouldn't be acting like So that was how I was raised. Maybe that's why I'm like this.
Yeah,
Everything like this, very
interesting.
prim and proper, very very demure because my parents were like that ever since.
I'm
ever since
pretty
I was young.
surprised because I thought I'm also raised in a traditional household, and I thought I was raised to be a Dalagang Filipina, but not that way. I was never told how to smile. They didn't really restrict the things I wear. The traditional aspect of it is really in the education grades and whatever. More on communication or being verbal, because I've always been very straightforward. And they call it pabalang sumagot, pabalang everything. I always fight back, essentially. So in that aspect, that's what my mom tries to suppress. But in behavior, in the way I dress, they don't. And now it makes sense.
Yes. Even when we go to like family gatherings na you bless, you say po and opo, the way you talk to your elders, all of those things, medyo particular sila about that. And I don't know why, because I don't know why. Maybe because my mom used to be a personality development coach also in
Talaga?
baka ako yung test niya. Baka ako yung test rat or something.
Interesting. Because even that yung po opo, the blessing, it wasn't strict for us. So, hindi rin kami, only with our grandparents. Kasi batas eh.
Okay.
Sila yung batas. But with the aunts and uncles,
Mm.
we were never required to say po and opo, even if we speak Filipino.
Yeah.
And then the bless, it really depends on our mood if we do it or not. But nothing too traditional. I'm very surprised because I've always thought that I've always been raised in a very traditional, strict household in every aspect of my life, but apparently not. And maybe that's why I'm like this.
No, I think you were also raised in a very strict. I think, were you ever allowed to like go on overnights with your friends?
No,
You were?
no.
No, me too. I wasn't
Mm.
allowed to go on overnight. I wasn't allowed a lot of things. I would always be fetched at 10 p.m. I would have curfew and all of those things. And
Yeah.
then looking back, I think that was because they wanted to mold me in a way to be, very very secure, very disciplined in
Mm-hmm.
everything that I do.
How
So,
old are your parents?
well, they're 73 and
70.
75. Yes.
Hmm.
And
Because
mm,
my parents are 10 years younger than your parents. So
mm.
maybe they're just more sensitive to culture and tradition than
Yes.
my parents are.
Mm.
But the
And
strictness,
my dad is very old fashioned talaga. As
gets.
in, until
Mm-hmm.
until now, there was a time na the first time I went on an uh, out of town overnight trip with my boyfriend. Like, my mom didn't tell my dad talaga. As in,
Haliparot.
she didn't tell my dad, like, oh, I know. He kept it a secret from him. So that's why that's why I'm like this. So for people asking how I became like this demure, poised, prim and proper, it's because of my parents.
Will you impose the same traditions on
My
Candace?
daughter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think so because I'm not like the usual Dalagang Filipina traditional
Mm-hmm.
typecast anymore. There are a lot of changes that happened in between. During the time that I would be surfing, I would get a lot of I would be reprimanded a lot by my mom or my even like old school friends, and they would tell me, oh, why are all of your pictures in social media? Like, kita na yung kalahati ng puwet mo. Yung mga ganon. So, so they would always like say something about the way I dress up, the way I would post on social media. Like, bakit ka naging ganyan? Bakit naging
Oh my
hubadera
God.
ka? So,
What?
I think that was, yeah, that,
Oh my God.
yes!
Grabe
So,
naman,
so
hubadera
that
na
was,
agad.
oo nga eh. Parang gusto ko nga sabihin, like, hello, you should see the other photos of, and malamang I would be in like a bikini. I'm surfing. I'm on the beach, diba? So, a lot of things have changed. So, maybe you're saying I'm a Dalagang Filipina, but a lot of things have already changed since I was a kid. And it wasn't, I don't think it was out of rebellion. It was really more because we've evolved, because there are a lot of things that changed around us.
What is the biggest um,
Yeah.
Filipino trait or Filipina trait do you think that doesn't apply anymore for a so-called Dalagang Filipina in the modern era? Modern era. or
I think, well,
yeah, go ahead.
we already talked about it. Oh, we talked about it in our first episode about dating. Di ba before, like, Filipinas wouldn't be the one to make the first move.
Right, yeah.
Now, di ba, now parang because of online dating apps, we don't really care anymore who does the first move.
True. That's
Yes.
true. I
How
mean,
about you? What do you think?
I feel like overall people still expect the same things from Filipino women, to still be prim and proper, to still be very courteous, especially the dominance or the lack thereof of dominance.
Yeah.
Because I think like most people, men and women, expect Filipinas to be a little bit subservient. And that is the stereotype that still circulates around, I feel. But luckily for a lot of Filipinas now, because of all the women empowerment
Yeah.
movements and all that, we've also become updated, groups of people. But like I remember my mom when
Mm.
I was younger, she would always reprimand me for the way I speak. Because she
Okay.
feels like it's my voice is too loud, my tone is too upfront or aggressive.
Mm.
Especially when I talk to my aunts and uncles because they're Caviteño, and if you know anyone who's
Mm.
Caviteño, they'll
Yeah.
always be confrontational. And even when I was a kid, I would always answer back, and
Mm. Mm.
to our parents, answering back is bad, no
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
how justified it is. But
Mm.
my brother was the same as I am,
Okay.
maybe even worse. But he wasn't reprimanded for it because lalaki siya. Ba lalaki
Yeah.
naman eh, or ganyan
Yeah.
talaga pag lalaki, 'di ba? But again, for if you're a woman, you're supposed to be a little bit softer, I suppose.
Mm.
Unfortunately for my
Mm.
mom, I'm not. and and that lack of softness
Mm.
translates to what Filipino men look for in Filipina women, which is why
Mm. Mm.
obviously I've never succeeded in a Filipino relationship, and I'm all the
Really,
way
yeah.
in Florida in the name of love during a
Yeah.
pandemic. That is how far I needed to go because Filipinos do not accept me.
No, it's not that. You just found true love in another part of the world.
Because I
Yeah,
remember when I
yeah.
was still active in Tinder,
Mm.
there was a guy that became my friend, and sometimes I would tell him about all these failed conversations which didn't even reach the dating stage with some Filipino guys that I matched with, and he would always say that they're not used to dealing with a sassy Filipina, which I
Mm.
guess is true.
Yeah,
Because like I feel like
yeah,
Filipino men still look for that Dalagang
yeah.
Filipina stereotype. I mean, look at you and Gian.
Yes. No, I mean, that's true. You'd be surprised. A lot of the guys that I dated, they would tell me, they like that I'm independent. They like
Mhm.
that I'm a bit modern. But at the end of the
Lies,
day,
lies.
at the end of the day, you'd be surprised because some of them, like, one guy broke up with me because he couldn't take. Well, I was talking about it in one of our episodes. He couldn't take how
Mm-mm.
much independent I was. That I was earning more than he was earning. And then, sometimes I'm also surprised that they would try to put me in a box, like be the typical Filipina who would serve them, who would like prepare food for them.
Serve them.
All of those things. Serve them meaning like prepare food for them or be the
Okay.
typical like, housewife or what.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of those things would really surprise you when you are in those
Mm-hmm.
relationships that at the onset they would praise you for being a strong independent woman, but during the course of the relationship you would find out a lot of these things that they still want to be the boss, they still want to be
Yeah.
the one who would provide for their families. I know this couple, they're not yet married but they're living in, the girl is really an empowered Filipina,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guy had some financial troubles. And then a bit along the way, we knew that the guy was already, nababaon na sa utang. So
Mm-hmm.
he would always, one time he would message me and then he would tell me, I'm just trying to make ends meet and I really want to be able to provide for the family. So they had all of these troubles in between,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were surprised that he just really wanted to be the man in the family. That's
Mm.
what he would say all the time. But, they're still together. They were able to fix
Okay.
things out. But at the onset, it was the same thing. He was telling us, I like this girl because she's very strong, she's very assertive. But at the end of the day, Filipino men, they have that thing within their heads that they want to be the one on top and they want to be the boss. So I think that's why you're not successful with Filipino men, because they know for a fact that they will never be the boss when you're their boy, when you're their girlfriend.
Since I've been here for 2 weeks, it's going on 2 weeks now, and for the first time, I'm staying with Tom in a non-vacation capacity. Because before, when we meet, it's always like there's always this honeymoon,
Yes.
stage, whatever. But now, because it's like I'm really living here, that layer of romance is not anymore there. And I'm starting to notice a lot of really stark differences. For example, on the strength thing that Filipino men are always obsessed about. My arrangement with Tom here, because I told him I don't want to be a freeloader. Like, I don't want to just come here and then ride on everything that he already has. So our split is anything food related is mine. So that means groceries.
Wow.
And whenever we eat out, because he's a hermit, so he doesn't care about eating out and stuff. So it's always me who invites people over, or when we go out, it's always me initiating it. So I felt it's just right that every time we eat out, especially if I'm the one who wants it, I'll pay for it. And then, like, that is not an issue for him. He's like, if you want to pay for it, then pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, he's
not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's an agreement, then it's agreement. The only time he expressed ano ba, panghihinayang in a way, is because we ate out like every day for a week. And he's like, you can't keep paying for all this.
Yeah.
And he kind of felt bad about it. And I'm like, but it's my fault. And then when I tell him about, because this season our company is doing very well, so I've received a lot of bonuses and dividends and all that extra income coming in, and I would tell him about it. And for him, again, I'm sorry, I am too far, MM.
I'm expecting some
deliveries.
Delivery fees. Balikbayan box.
So with him, I'm never shy, or I never feel that I need to beat around the bush to tell him anything, because I know that it won't be an issue for him. But I feel like for a Filipino partner, it's going to be like, oh, I'm so happy for you, but deep inside I'm like, he's gonna be like, oh no.
Oh no, I have to keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, that's why I've said this many times. I really do not enjoy going out with Filipino men, unless, I guess, as you said before, they're just as successful as you
are. Yeah, that's true.
So that you don't they don't have to deal with the insecurity that always comes with, competing with your partner. Which brings me to a lot of people, foreigner, non-foreigner, not really knowing how to deal with Filipinas nowadays. Because, as you said, a lot of things have changed, but there are certain things that did not. So, speaking about you, how are you as a partner? Like, how are you as a Filipina partner?
Because my mom would this is the thing about my mom. She's a very old school Filipina. Whenever I would run to her when I have relationship issues, she would always tell me, pagpasensyahan mo na. So like, even if ako yung like tama, or ako yung may valid reason or valid point, she would always tell me, pagpasensyahan mo na, ganyan, magbabago rin yan, or ipag-pray mo na lang.
Oh my gosh, Em, it makes so much sense now.
So
That's why.
that's why I'm in like long-term relationships, sometimes with guys that I shouldn't have been in long-term
I
relationships.
know, right?
So she's like that. She would always tell me to be patient and
Mm.
be really patient.
Oh
So
my
I think
god.
that's one of the traits that I have as a partner. That eventually I since I became a lot of since I became more assertive and now I know what I want in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So and I would gagayahin kita, like I would always tell the person what I don't like about what he's
Mm-hmm.
doing. So medyo nabawasan na yon. So in the past I was very patient. Now I'm still patient, but with certain limits na, and I would tell it to my partner up front if I don't like something that he did or he's doing. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
what else pa ba? I actually like serving the guy in ways that, like Dian, he likes to eat. He likes to eat good
Mm.
food. So now all I do is cook everything he likes.
Mm.
So every week I would ask him what he wants and I'd go to the grocery and try to figure out good recipes for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like that. I like to make the person happy in a way na kung yung language of love niya, that's how I'm
Mm.
able to show it to him. I'm very clingy also. You know that. I like being with the guy, my partner, 24/7 if possible. No, no kidding. But
Oh my god.
I like to spend a lot of time with the person. I'm not a lot about, well, before I would like to know everything, where he is or where he would go, but now I've gone past that. I've matured already and I've built a lot of trust.
That's not what you said.
There. There. And as much as I can, if I feel like it's the relationship is worth saving, I would save it. It's not like
Oh.
yeah.
What
It's
did make
not
it
like
worth saving?
if you would see I look at potential. That's the thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I look at the guys, but
Mhm.
so don't tell Gian, when I met him, I saw his potential. Okay, this guy, he's going to be really successful. So I was able to calculate it in my head. Okay, this guy is going to be successful in 3-4 years time. He's gonna be a good family man. Looking at his background.
How
So
can you
okay, this I'm
tell?
gonna have a good future with this guy.
How can you tell?
See how he is. His work
Oh,
style, the way he talks to people, the way he
I
treats his
guess.
family, the way he interacts with his friends. So, you see the potential. So,
Okay.
this, sige, this friend, I couldn't name her, baka magalit. So, when she got married at a very young age. And
Mm-hmm.
then, when we would go out to drink, she would tell me, you look at the guy's potential. You don't look at today, because today he may be shitty, he may have no money, but eventually, if you see that he has potential to be rich, that's the type of guy that you that you stick it out with.
Wait.
Tawa ako sa kanya.
Siya,
So
di ko
there.
alam yun ah. Does Tom have potential? Can you tell?
I wouldn't know. I don't see him every day. But I
Okay,
think he
let's
does.
take this offline. I will tell you what happens every day. No, just kidding.
Or you figure it out.
Oh, uh-huh,
Yes.
uh-huh.
What has Tom said about you as a Filipino partner?
He likes everything that Filipino men don't like.
Like,
When he says he likes that I think for myself, he means it. And
oh.
when he says that, um, I remember, I think it was the last time that I was here, and I forget who told him, who said something about me, something
Mm.
about either control your woman or to not let me do something. I can't remember what it was exactly. And his answer was, I'm not her boss and she will do whatever she wants to do. And that has always been his
Mm.
approach for me for
Mm. Mm.
anything. Um,
Mm.
like with with his son. So the mom is still in
Yeah.
the picture, and she has made some comments about me being here and me being interacting with the son
Mm.
and his response was, if they like to hang out with each other, then I will let them hang out with each other. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have the obsession over control or
Mm, mm.
over dominance, over
Yeah.
being the head of the family, as again I feel like a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of Filipino men have.
Mm-hmm.
So it really works out for me because he just lets me be. And to me, freedom is the most important thing. And again, I've said that many times.
Yes.
Um, and this is the first relationship I've had that I never felt like I had to sacrifice even a morsel of that
Mm,
independence, because he supports the
mm.
independence very, very
Yeah.
well. Um, and in this, at the same time, I also like serving him,
Mm,
but in my
mm.
way. Like,
Okay.
I love food, as you know. I'm very
Yes.
food oriented. But he doesn't enjoy food very much. I mean, food is food for him.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and for example, for me, meals are very important. Like, again, like a very
Mm.
Filipino thing is we always have
Yes.
to have meals together because it's like a family
Mm.
time thing.
Yeah.
But because they're just the two of them for the longest time and they're both boys, whenever the meal times are not a thing, when they will eat when they're hungry and then they eat at random times
Mm.
of the day, they don't eat together.
Okay.
But to me, it's like, no, we will sit
Yeah.
together at a table and we will eat. So
And we
it's
will
not,
talk.
yeah, and we will talk, we will
Mm.
spend time together. So that's not necessarily his language of love, but I, for like, my service for him is really to make sure that we
Mm.
spend, because my language of love is quality time.
Yeah.
And I ensure that we have that quality time together,
Mm,
which he
mm-mm.
doesn't oppose, because he knows that if it makes me happy and it doesn't harm them to have quality time, then they'll
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
um but I do have some moments where, I mean, I'm usually very
Mm.
confrontational, but I realize that it's easier to be confrontational when you're not face to face. Because when we were still LDR, it's easy to be confrontational on the phone, like
Yeah.
texting
Yeah.
or even video calls. It's easy to just
Mm,
bring up
mm-mm.
issues and then talk about it straight on. But now that he's like right in front of me, sometimes I think like, I'm not in the mood to get into a fight right now, so I'm just not gonna say anything.
Ah.
So now I
See?
understand. I know, right?
See?
Fine.
You can't be like 100% confrontational and
Yeah,
assertive all the time.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
But the good thing is he kind of understands my body language already. So even if I don't literally say anything, he knows if something
Mm.
is wrong. And again, because he's
Mm.
American, he has no problems asking me outright what is
What's
wrong.
wrong?
And
Yeah.
then that initiates the conversation, which is good for us. So for all the things that have evolved in
Mm.
terms of being
Mm-hmm.
Filipina, I think the one common thing that will never go away for us is the concept of tampo, which unfortunately
Yes.
foreigners will never understand. Like, what is your brand of tampo? Like, how do you make tampo with Gian?
Oh my gosh, how do I make tampo? Silent treatment. Ganun lang. Like if he does something na hindi ko talaga nagustuhan. Yeah, silent
Mm.
treatment. Pero kasi sinusunod na kita. I would tell him na straight up what I don't like. Kasi sayang yung time, we
Mm-hmm.
work together so
Oh,
I
right.
can't do
Yes.
silent treatment anymore. Like the other
Yeah.
day we had an issue and we had to work on that day also. So we had to set it aside for a while. We didn't talk
Mm.
about it. And then after a while, nawala na lang yung ines. And then we talked
Oh,
about it
okay.
after. Yeah, it was just like that. And especially when there's a kid around, parang hindi naman pwedeng like nag-aaway kami in front of the kid, or we couldn't be like not talking when there's a kid. So medyo weird naman. So yeah, so it has evolved. But yeah, basically before it was silent treatment. And he wouldn't really get it a lot of times also. Magugulat na siya, ay, nagtatampo ka pala.
Visit! Ay, nako. Pero, I mean, it happens a lot, di ba? Na parang nagtatampo ka na, hindi nila na-gets. Sayang yung
kasi,
tampo.
Diba? Sayang yung nagdrama-drama ka pa. Tapos, ang dami pang na-overthink na stuff. Tapos,
hindi pala niya
okay
alam. Hindi pala nila alam. Wait, so
sayang yung time and energy.
You've been with Gian for 5 years, right? 5 ba? 6?
5 years on and off. Yeah, 5 years on and off.
Does the tampo lessen over the years?
Oo naman. Yeah. Maybe, it did.
In frequency or in length of tampo?
Both. Nabawasan siya in frequency and in length of tampo. In frequency, maybe because now we mas naintindihan na namin each other. We know what makes him. I know what makes him tick. He knows what makes me angry. And then yung length of tampo, yun din. We couldn't really like get mad at each other at a long time because we need to work together and we have no choice but to be okay agad. So, yeah, so bawal na sa amin yung drama-drama. And matured.
I remember one time when I think it was my first boyfriend pa before Tom. So nagtampo ako. Hindi niya maintindihan talaga. So nag-research ako as always. I tried to look for a way to describe or define what tampo is. And then I stumbled upon this blog written by an American man who's married to a Filipina. And he had an entry about tampo.
Oh,
and
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So he didn't exactly have a complete definition of what tampo is, but he was explaining what his wife does every time she makes tampo against him. And the conclusion was like, Filipino women, you should stop doing this because it is counterproductive and it doesn't solve anything. Which is true.
True, but it's we want to be pursued. Kasi
That's right.
Tayo diba? So that's why it's still a valid excuse.
Exactly. I want to be wooed.
Yes, that's true. And then, the way they say sorry, and then they would give you flowers, they would bring you out for a date. Diba? Ang daming pwedeng mangyari.
True. I've never had flowers.
After every tampo. I should tell Tom. Do you like flowers?
Well, not really, but I would accept them.
Okay, Tom should watch this. Tom, hey,
Hey, nako. So if you were for Filipino men, but for me, for foreign men, what advice would you give a Filipino man going after a Filipino woman?
A modern Filipino woman?
Yes. The Filipino of today.
The Filipino of today. The Filipino of today, they're not, hindi na siya it's not really, there's not a whole definition of what a Filipino woman is. Kasi we're very multi-hyphenated women na. Ang dami na nating nagagawa, diba? Unlike in the past, we're just at home, cooking for our husbands and all of those things. The Filipino of today, ang dami-dami ng everything. Like, we're activists, we're a lot of things. So, well, for one, Filipinos should be ready to be, to take out their egos a little and to forget the notion that they always have to be the top or the head of the family or the one with the type A personality, because a lot of Filipino women now have a type A personality and they wouldn't give up that assertiveness, that being direct to the point, being straightforward. They wouldn't do that for any man. Except, of course, if you're worthy of their love. Like me. There couldn't be, yun nga, that's the thing that I realized. Gian and I are very strong individually. Yun nga, very independent. He's also very independent. When we're together, it couldn't be like both of us having the same type of personality at the same time. Like it's always a give and take. Someone has to compromise.
That's
yes,
a good
that's
way
what
of
I
putting
found
it.
out when we lived together. Because
Oh no.
we couldn't be like both type A personality at the same time. Kasi we would just clash always. We would always clash. Especially in the business. Like he has his own ways of doing things. I have my own ways of doing things. So we have to find a middle ground for us to be able to make it work. Yes, so that is my advice to all of the Filipinos out there. If you want to date a modern Filipina, you have to be able to take it all in and forget about your ego, forget all of your insecurities because women now are very strong and they would tell it to you up front. Yeah. So how about you? What's your advice for foreigners who want to date Filipinas?
I think for foreign men, while Filipino women have, evolved a lot, we still are an emotional race compared to others.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yes.
We're still very emotional, very cultural, very family oriented. And I think for a lot of foreign men, that's something that puts them off. Filipinas sacrificing a lot of things for family, for example, or putting family first. I think that's the most common anecdote that I hear about. I remember one time, the last time I was here, I took an Uber, and I was on my way home here, and then the driver asked where I was from, and I said I was Filipina, and then he said he used to date a Filipina, but they broke up, and I said why, and then he said she was okay at the beginning, and then she turned crazy. Like, what does crazy mean? So she became very attached, very demanding, very emotional, always talks about the family. And to me, that is what it is. That's how we are. So I think
that's how we are.
Yeah, I think they're not used to that level of intensity from Filipino women, because we take everything personally and we take everything seriously, especially when you've defined the relationship. Things become serious really fast. But from my experience, foreign men like to take their time, play around for a bit, get things as casual as possible until they're finally ready to really make it serious. But not a lot of it takes a while for them to get to that stage. But for Filipino women, that is quick.
That is yes.
Right? When the emotions are there, it's gonna be that.
That's true.
So it was so funny because I'm
That's
like,
true.
yeah, when the driver said she turned crazy, and then I was thinking, but that's me. But whatever.
But that's true.
Exactly. But whatever. I'm still here. Tom and I are still together. So he will discover the full extent of that crazy, because I'll be here for 5 months. So we'll see what happens
We'll see how it
at
turns
the
out.
end of that. No,
you made a really good point there. I think Filipinas have it at the back of their heads that when they have a boyfriend or when they're with someone, they're always thinking about the end goal. Okay, having a family, raising kids with this guy. So maybe that's why a lot of foreigners are surprised or shocked when they date Filipinas.
Because what I always hear is from Filipino women is, why go into a relationship that goes nowhere, right? So I mean that makes complete
that's
sense.
True. That's true.
But for a lot of foreign men, they go into relationships just because.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
again
Just
not
for fun
wrong
or
also. But you really just have to make sure that you're on the same page, because
yeah.
you're not, then the Filipina can really
Yeah.
look crazy. So many things about modern Filipina have changed over time. And I think you are one version, I am one version, and we have very different personalities. But I think our levels of independence, of courage in many ways are the same,
Yep.
because luckily we are the um what do you call that, we are the result of our time, and that time is a little bit more progressive than what our parents used to live in. But there are a lot of stereotypes are still also very true. Bottom line is, for everyone who's still confused about what the Filipino really is, we're strange and we're complicated individuals that, and the only way to get on our good side is for you to expect us to be crazy, but also we promise that things will be very awesome.
The Chismis Table.